Namaste Manushi viewers. Today I come to you with a good news as well as an appeal that you join together with Manushi in getting the Delhi government to give due recognition to the site of Shri Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji's martyrdom, which took place on 24th November 1675. This is the 344th year of his awe-inspiring sacrifice in defense of his dharma. The sacred site of his martyrdom is in Delhi's Chandni Chowk area and is today known as Ganj Gurudwara. Fortunately, the entire Chandni Chowk area, which had become a symbol of urban chaos and squalor, is currently undergoing a major redevelopment program. We consider it a great blessing that the project for rejuvenation of Chandni Chowk took off as an offshoot of a PIL filed by Manushi in the Delhi High Court way back in 2006. The PIL itself was part of a long-drawn advocacy campaign launched by Manushi in 1996 to press upon the policymakers and administrators of Delhi to stop their war against non-motorized vehicles, NMVs for short. Hundreds of these humble eco-friendly vehicles were confiscated every day and sold as junk or released after hefty fines by municipal agencies, all because they were denied due legal protection and treated as an unwanted nuisance. Among other things, our PIL had demanded that instead of restricting or banning cycle rickshaws, government ought to provide dedicated tracks to promote rickshaws and bicycles as eco-friendly mode of short distance transport in order to cut down the use of motor vehicles which are choking our cities with poisonous fumes. We were lucky that in 2010 the hostile laws governing non-motorized vehicles were struck down by the High Court as unconstitutional. In addition, the court ordered the Delhi government and the Municipal Corporation of Delhi to implement some pilot projects to make our city NMV and pedestrian friendly. One such pilot project is the redevelopment of the historic Chandni Chowk, where motor vehicles will be barred entry during the day. The area is being pedestrianized, where only non-polluting NMVs will be allowed to ply. However, since the Chandni Chowk area hosts several historic sites, it has thrown up a few problems which require a policy decision by Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal ji and the Union Urban Development Minister Shri Hardeep ji. To begin with, the entire plan of the Chandni Chowk redevelopment is focused around recreating and celebrating in a modernist idiom the grandeur of the Mongol heritage from the Red Fort to Fatehpuri Masjid. Those handling the project, or even the experts of Delhi Urban Arts Commission who have held it up for months on end through court orders to ensure that the Mongol heritage is preserved in its pristine purity, have not shown much awareness of the two very important sacred sites in the Chandni Chowk area, namely the Ganj Gurudwara and Bhai Mati Museum. The area between them is named the Fountain Chowk to honor a waterless fountain standing there as a clumsy relic of the British Raj. Since the importance of these sacred sites has been deliberately diminished in popular memory through partisan state policy, I provide a brief summary for the benefit of those who have forgotten what Ganj Gurudwara and Bhai Mati Museum situated in the middle of Chandni Chowk represent. In May 1675, a group of Kashmiri Brahmins came to seek Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji's help in stopping the onslaught of forced conversions of Hindus ordered by Aurangzeb. Guru Tegh Bahadur decided to stand up for the freedom of his people to stay within the fold of their own faith and sent a message to Aurangzeb that if he could first convince Guru Tegh Bahadur to become a Muslim, then the Brahmins would also convert. After his promise to Kashmiri Brahmins, Guru Tegh Bahadur nominated his son, young Gobind Rai, later known as Guru Gobind Singh Ji, as his successor, and on 11th of July 1675, he left Anandpur to meet Aurangzeb at his darbar. He was accompanied by 3 companions, Bhai Mati, Bhai Sati and Bhai Dyala. They all knew they were courting death by joining their Guru. Bhai Mati and Bhai Sati were born in a Brahmin family of Chibbar clan in village Karyala in Jhelum district, which is now in Pakistan. Bhai Dyala was 15 when he joined the Guru's Sangat. His ancestors belonged to Alipur near Multan. All 4 were arrested en route and taken in chains to Delhi and locked up in prison from July to November 1675. During their incarceration, Guru Tegh Bahadur and his 3 companions were starved and tortured mercilessly. When these brutalities did not result in their yielding to conversion, Aurangzeb ordered that Guru Tegh Bahadur be beheaded. To test his resolve further, Aurangzeb told his minions to first slaughter the Guru's companions before his very eyes, hoping that the sight of their suffering might shake Guru Tegh Bahadur's resolve and pressure him to save himself by agreeing to embrace Islam. Bhai Mati, chosen to be the first martyr, was led out in chains under heavy guard. The spot fixed for his execution was the Kotwali. He was tied between 2 erect flat logs of wood and sawed alive from head through torso till he bled to death. Despite such an agonizing end, he refused to convert and kept chanting Japji, a prayer composed by Guru Nanak Ji, till his last breath. The next to be martyred was Bhai Dyala. They led him to the spot where Bhai Mati had been cut up into 2 and advised him to be wiser. But he too refused to give up his dharma. He was seated in a large vessel, which was then filled with water. Then they lit fire to the wood piled beneath, so that the boiling water scalded Bhai Dyala to death. He too kept chanting Guru Nanak Ji's Japji till he died. Then came the turn of Bhai Sati, who also stood firm and refused to denounce his dharma and accept Islam. Enraged at this, the Qazis ordered that Bhai Sati be wrapped in cotton wool which had been soaked in oil. The cotton was then set afire and he was roasted alive. Even he continued reciting the Japji till his last breath. Despite witnessing such horrors, Guru Tegh Bahadur did not yield to conversion. So he too was beheaded halal style in Chandni Chowk on the 24th of November 1675. His executioner was Jalaluddin Jallad, who belonged to the town of Samana in present-day Haryana. The spot of the execution was under a banyan tree. The trunk of the tree and the nearby well where he bathed are still preserved. Gurudwara Shishganj stands at the site where Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji was beheaded. Aurangzeb had ordered that none be allowed to cremate Guru Tegh Bahadur's mortal remains so that vultures would come feed on them. But at the risk of their own lives, 2 of his brave devotees defied this farman. Bhai Jaita carried away Guruji's head to Chak Nanki, later renamed as Anandpur Sahib, where the 9-year-old Guru Gobind Rai cremated it. His body, which was to be quartered, was stealthily taken away under the cover of darkness by another daring follower, Lakhi Shah Vanjara. He hid the body in his bullock cart under a load of hay and took it to his modest home at the outskirts of Delhi of that day, where he cremated it by setting his entire home on fire. At this spot, the Gurudwara Rakabganj Sahib stands today. Guru Tegh Bahadur and his 3 companions are the most awesome satyagrahis India has ever produced. Mahatma Gandhi's satyagrah was baby stuff in comparison. The devotees of the great gurus kept the sacredness of that site in their hearts and minds, even though it was not possible to commemorate those sites under Islamic rulers. The Gurudwara in its present form was constructed in 1930s. Every Gurudwara remembers the story of this martyrdom in its daily ardas. But sadly, most non-Punjabis have forgotten all about these saviors of our dharma. For instance, during my years as a history student at JNU, I did not once hear the names of Guru Tegh Bahadur, Guru Gobind Singh, and others who fought against Islamic tyranny because we were fed on the Irfan Habib, Romila Thapar school of historiography. I learned about the great gurus from my parents and by listening to the Gurbani. It is a matter of great shame that most citizens of Delhi, including highly educated ones, are ignorant about this history and know Gurudwara Shishganj as just another Sikh shrine. So deeply ingrained are the biases inculcated by left historians that they reflect in every aspect of our lives, including the naming of roads. Despite the horrors of partition, in the heart of imperial Delhi, major roads were named after Mongol rulers from Babur, Jahangir, Akbar and Shah Jahan to Aurangzeb and Bahadur Shah Zafar. But it didn't occur to our rulers to rename Chandni Chowk as Guru Tegh Bahadur Chowk. Same ignorance is displayed by government agencies. For instance, Delhi tourism does not promote Gurudwara Shishganj Sahib as an important landmark, the way it holds up Red Fort as the foremost identity marker of Delhi. Therefore, it is no surprise that it did not occur to the team handling the Chandni Chowk Redevelopment project to commemorate this sacred site in an appropriate manner. To those who say commemorating this site of Satyagraha will be politically provocative, I say, though we can't undo certain painful aspects of our past, we should also not erase from memory the awe-inspiring resistance to tyranny offered by our ancestors during those dark days of history. Because of this cultivated amnesia, today only those officially designated as Sikhs own up to the Shishganj Gurudwara. The rest of us have been made to forget our deep connect with the great gurus. This diminishes Guru Tegh Bahadur's status to the leader of a panth, whereas he and his comrades should be remembered as national heroes and the site of their martyrdom treated as a great national monument. Some enthusiasts among the Sikh community have erected a very shoddy makeshift structure on the periphery of the fountain as a memorial to the martyrdom of Bhai Mati Das, Bhai Sati Das and Bhai Dyala. Funnily enough, the SGPC has picked up cudgels with the Delhi government to let this crudity remain untouched since they call it a part of Sikh heritage. But as per the SGPC's own literature, the actual site of martyrdom was the Kotwali, not the Chowk. In any case, such a crude structure is an insult to the memory of those awe-inspiring men. To the government I say, by all means redevelop the area and preserve the Mongol monuments. But you can't gloss over the fact that in popular memory, as opposed to Bollywood films, this phase of history is remembered as one of religious persecution, forced conversions, loot, plunder, burning down of entire cities, destruction of our temples, rapes, and mass subduction of women to turn them into sex slaves. We can't afford to let our younger generation grow up so ignorant about our past history, especially since it has bearing on our present and future. It is a well-known truism that those who don't learn from their past are condemned to repeat the very same blunders time and again.